Welcome everybody to the next episode of Battle Chads. I am Josh and I'm with my co-host Luis.
Hello, hello, hello.
And we've got two very special guests today. I think both of them probably doesn't need an introduction, but we'll introduce them anyway. We've got Krista or Kristo-O and YungDingo. Welcome to the podcast.
What up? What up, boys?
How you doing anyway? You okay?
Oh, a little bit. I've just been dying of Ohio sickness over the past 2 weeks, but hey,
Yeah,
we're doing a little bit better now.
yeah, but winning despite that,
Yeah.
crazily enough.
No, not in Ohio. Things went very poorly in Ohio.
My
The
condolences.
week before that.
Yeah,
was,
you've had you were really sick recently because I remember texting you a few days ago and you were saying you were ill. That's why it's to postpone this little meeting.
Yeah, it was a combination sinus ear infection, which is it's good times. Being completely drenched in sweat, laying in bed.
A little rough, yeah. But I think
very little will to get out.
Well,
it's the season for that.
I used to suffer heavy as a kid with ear infections. And then when I was 16, I got my tonsils out and I've not had an ear infection since. I don't know what the correlation between that is, but they said, get your tonsils out and I've been all right since. Well, physically all right.
Anything else, not so much.
I think that's the next step for me is getting my tonsils removed, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. So,
Disclaimer: we're not medical advocates, or any medical advice taken from the show is not on us. It's all on you guys.
although you are a bit of are you a medical professional, Krista? What is it you do?
Technically, yes, just not a physical mental health professional, a mental health professional for sure.
Yeah. So after this podcast, will you just stay on a bit with me because I might need a bit of counseling?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you're gonna get PTSD after this?
Even more. So as we've done a little introduction, what we'll do is I will move on to sort of your origin stories. So we'll start with you, Krista. So how long have you been playing Magic? And sort of we sort of define it sort of what sets you started with. That gives people an idea.
The classic, what set? So, God, it's been over 10 years since I started playing Magic. I started with Original Innistrad.
Okay.
Was where I
Cool
started
set.
kind of picking up packs. I didn't really start playing until Theros though. So I usually tell people I started in Original Theros because that's when I was actually drafting. No idea what I was doing. I went to a comic book shop one day and they're like, "We need one more for Draftifier," and I'm just like, "Sick! What is that?" And I sat down and they took me for all I was worth, basically. I got nothing. I was like, this card's shiny, that's great. And but started playing a little more competitively around Oath of the Gatewatch is really where I started to get competitive. I jumped right into Modern, didn't go to Standard. Pioneer wasn't a thing yet. I went directly into Modern and picked up Eldrazi-tron, which is a deck that I'm pretty well known for.
No, not one of those people.
So that's been sort of that's what you've been known for quite a while now, eh?
Yeah, since late 2015 or early 2016. That's kind of been, it's what I've had the most tournament winnings with. It's just something that has always stuck around. I jumped from a lot of different decks. I'm not just an E-Tron player, but it's definitely what most people know me by.
Cool. So same question to you then, Dingo. How long have you been playing for? Sort of, and it'd be quite interesting to go into your story of when you started streaming, because it's quite an inspiring story. I thought of quite a lot of dedication.
So I started playing back when Dragon's Maze came out. That was actually the first pack of Magic cards I ever opened, and my very first rare, I still remember to this day, was a copy of Mutavault. And I immediately traded that Mutavault for a copy of Chandra Pyromaster and proceeded to build standard red-green monsters so that way I could play against my high school language arts teacher. Both of them, actually, from 9th grade to 11th grade, both of them played Magic at lunch in the classroom. And I used to be a pretty big Yu-Gi-Oh player at the time. So I would sit there and watch them play Magic, having no idea what was going on. And they would just turn to me. They're like, "You want to learn Magic? It's pretty similar to Yu-Gi-Oh in terms of kind of." They were wrong about that. They were like, It's pretty similar to Yu-Gi-Oh and how the gameplay is." I'm like, "Okay, yeah." As I learned Magic, and I was like, "This is nothing like it," but I still like Magic. So I pretty much just picked up Magic from there. I played a lot of Standard at the time of Khans of Tarkir, and it's what really got me hooked. That was the best Standard, by the way, Khans of Tarkir, and to like Oath of the Gatewatch, like Krista mentioned.
This was
Very.
good for getting people into formats, I think.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that this new Foundation Standard is just as good, but that was the standard that really got me hooked, and I kind of just jumped straight into Modern because both of my language arts teachers were also Modern players. One of them played Infect, and one of them played Splinter Twin back in the day.
Oh.
I constantly just watched them duke it out, Splinter Twin versus Infect, and Infect actually won most of the time, surprisingly.
Oh no, you hit the Josh button over here.
Although I would say that Infect for me has always been like Legacy. Like Infect was my first Legacy deck, and I played piloted Legacy, Infect Legacy for like 2 years before it basically Orcish Bowmasters got printed. So I have a very soft spot for Legacy. Cool. So just before we move on, we talked about this before on our pre-brief, but what is the actual origin name of your, or the origin of your name, YungDingo? Because obviously your name's Mikey, but
so
if you just go into that first.
Were you just
my
fascinated
old
with
tag-
Australia? What's going on?
I was not. My old tag was an Xbox generated tag, Uber Mikey B, and I decided that that tag was fine, but it was not like anything special. It was a little corny as well. So when I went to a Smash Brothers Melee tournament with my buddy, he entered as Young Boyo, and he was like, "You should enter as Young Dingo," because it was a team event. So those are the two tags we entered with, and then people just started calling me Dingo from kind of then on. Everybody at that Smash tournament started calling me Dingo, and it kind of stuck. So when I started streaming after COVID happened in like 2021, I streamed under the tag Young Dingo, and I kind of just said, this is what I wanted to do after I got out of college. I spent a long time trying to look for a job and couldn't really find anything at the peak of COVID because everything was going virtual and they required a bunch of years of experience. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to spend my time do a little bit of streaming. So I streamed for 385 days straight, at least 4 hours every single day, no matter if I was sick, it was the weekend, it was a holiday, did not matter. I set out to try to become something in the field, and well, here we are today.
That's actually how I found him, was when he was doing his like 365-day streaming challenge. I was like up working midnights to 8 a.m. on the National Suicide Hotline, and I just like, I need something to fall asleep to. He was the only one like up at the time, and he was doing it every single day, so he was super consistent. So we ended up just like connecting over that and getting to know each other through that. And he was just super determined. I've never seen anybody just push as hard as he does with streaming.
I was also very, very dumb when I started streaming because I streamed 2 hours before Spike went live every single morning. I would wake up at 5 in the morning Pacific time, and I would just start streaming, and then it'd be fine, it'd be good. And as soon as Aspiring Spike gets on, bam, everybody's gone. Everybody's like, all right, cool, good stream day go. After 2 hours, I would go watch Spike. So now I'm a nighttime streamer because of that.
So it makes your determination and finding the sweet spot and when you stream, really.
Oh yeah, because I was like gonna be an afternoon streamer. The Doomwake streams during that time. Demonic Tutors used to stream during that time, and I was like, okay, maybe nighttime's is a good spot for me.
So
now,
just going off what Krista was saying about, you discovered Dingo through stream. I'm going to call you Mikey for now. Is that, do you prefer Mikey or Dingo?
Fine.
Yeah. So you discovered Mikey.
People call me Dingo than Mikey. I'll be completely honest, but I don't care.
So you discovered him through streaming. So how did you actually come to meet then? Did you just DM him? Did you slide in his DMs and be like, hey?
So no, actually, he messaged me. I was just like very active in his chat basically because I was like trying to forget the horrors of what I was my work during the night. And so I was just like very, very active. And then like our mutual friend, PT Bench, he was going out to this event in Ohio, and like Mikey's coming across the country. I'm somewhat close to Ohio, so he just DM'd me and was like, hey, you want to go to this with me? And I'm like, absolutely.
Let's go.
Had never met him in person. We were just like, yeah, let's go to this tournament, sure.
So everything always leads back to Ohio. Oh god,
it does.
Hey, I loved Ohio. Like, say what you want about Ohio. I thought it was great, but I'm sort of like I moved from a city, so I lived in Manchester for 8-9 years, and then I moved sort of up on the west coast in sort of like a smallish little sea town. So like I really appreciate the sort of small town living. And Ohio was, I'd say there was less going on than where I lived, to be fair, but I liked it. It was good. They had a massive gaming tournament underneath the pharmacy.
Yeah, there's a lot of culture in Ohio and about nothing else.
Yeah, that's
You will.
It's
Go on.
I was just gonna say it's not even that town's not even considered a town. It's technically considered a village because of how
Brilliant.
few
Oh, many
people there are.
Yeah, yeah, that's
But
about
it throws
right.
these big gaming tournaments. They're huge. It's
And
great.
Kyle owns the entire village.
Yeah.
I like how
And
you
he's
picked.
and he specifically owns that chair, the pod.
Yep,
Yeah.
the space pod.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not gonna elaborate on that. The space
Okay.
pod.
The
You're
space
in it,
pod.
you know.
Yeah. But
Uh,
it was funny. It was funny. Oh, sorry, Ghoulies, go on.
Oh no, I was just gonna make a joke about how you picked up a dingo while we were talking about young dingo here. Where'd he come from?
Oh, this thing. He's very
Dude.
attached to me. Like
I
he just
couldn't. He kind of
Yeah.
blended in with your shirt, so I thought you were just like rubbing your shirt for a little bit. I'm like, what is happening?
Why is he rubbing
Dog.
himself?
Wrong
Why's-
platform for streaming this content.
He's just a bit attached to me. We rescued him. I rescued him about a year ago now. From
Oh,
when I picked him up, he had all scars all over his snout and stuff, and he was very anxious. And now he is a pain in my backside. But I love him.
Yeah,
So,
cute one at least.
Yeah, he's all right, little Axel. So, you mentioned about your nighttime streaming, which is actually funny because we met during Vegas, or in Magic on Vegas, met both of you then. And Will Hall, who I was staying with because we went on the trip, Will, he was actually he has to go to sleep while listening to something, like he has to have some noise on or something like that. And your voice was actually one of the I think the Friday or the Thursday before the event, your voice he was actually listening to, so he fell asleep to your voice because you've got a very like people know your voice, right? I'm trying to get the right words. Very
Recognizable.
recognizable. That's it. Very recognizable voice. So when I met you in real life, I was like, Jen, that's like the guy you fell asleep to.
I call myself an ASMR streamer who has magic on in the background.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people just come in, they're like, hey, I just use your stream to fall asleep to. I'm like, that's great. I have no complaints. I myself put on like a different streamer to fall asleep to. Like I'll watch Ludwig, for example.
Yeah. So you've got that California vibe though, that chill out, like, yeah, let's go sleep.
Vibing.
I've literally never seen this man stressed. He's so laid back. That California vibe is just baked into him.
The only time I've ever seen him stressed is when he got Force of Vigored main board against Palpatine. Gimme. I think that's the only time I've ever seen him stressed in his life.
Every time I queue into Gimme, I'm like, main deck Force of Vigor incoming. Here's the Karuga. Yep. This dude's been playing the same deck for like 2 years. I'm like, stop. This deck's not good anymore. You're literally gonna get run over by Belcher. Stop playing 4-color.
Oh, it's so funny though. It's so funny.
It's all right.
So let's talk about some goals you might have. So we talked about your introduction. We talked about sort of your origin stories and all that good stuff. I'd like to know what your current goals are for both of you. Where you want to go with the game, particularly around competitive sort of side of things. I mean, it might be like a social media sort of thing you want to achieve. I don't know, recognition online or more recognition online or whatever. But what is your goals within the game currently?
So up until this year, it was to get on the Pro Tour because I've just really been enjoying like grinding all the RCs. That's kind of what I was doing, just like traveling around the country, grinding the RCs, traveling to like our team events and stuff, playing those, queuing for the RC through the team events and stuff, as well as individual events. But it's a little busier this year, honestly. I'm a full-time grad student, and I work full-time, and I have practicum next semester on top of it. So for my own sanity and not to stress myself out too much, I'm taking like a little bit of a step back just this year, but my overall goal is still to, eventually make the Pro Tour. So just practicing and getting to be exactly where I want to be. I think that's just kind of the dream. I think that's a big dream.
I've seen you play, and you can do it 100%. Like I think the time is the only thing stopping you back, because I've seen you play Apex. I was watching you play in Legacy in Vegas when I was like, what is that planeswalker? What was that planeswalker you cast? I was like, what is that?
Comet Stellar Pup.
Comet.
Oh god.
We were playing we have Friday Night Legacy here, which is really great. Like FM
Yeah.
Legacy is supported. It's awesome.
Oh my god, that's like my dream.
We get like 20 plus people usually. It's nice.
Oh my god, 20 people FNM Legacy FNM. That'd be like
every Friday.
Where's that?
But like, huh?
Where is that?
So this is in Bluebell, Pennsylvania. So kind of like on the outside of Philly, like the suburbs of Philadelphia.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure it's hard to picture.
I think 20 Magic players. 20 is about the population of where Josh lives. I think his entire town has a maximum of 20 people. So I think he can't picture that many people in one place. It's really hard for him.
It depends if you count the people with like more than 6 toes.
So we were playing on Friday, and just like I just had the most insane Comet turn I've ever seen. I was like dead on board. My opponent's playing oh god, what's it called? Cloud Post, yeah. And I'm like about to be dead. He had put Emrakul into his hand to cast the next turn, and my only out is to cast this Comet Stellar Pup. I rolled over 6 sixes, and if you don't know what Comet does, is every time you roll a 6, you get to roll 2 more times, and his loyalty goes up. And one of his abilities is just to like bite the opponent, so basically just deal damage to face immediately. So I ended up rolling like 6 sixes or something, getting up to like 20, and just beating my opponent in the face for 20 in a single turn.
That's amazing.
It was incredible.
That's amazing. That
was
really a stellar pup. Oh my god.
So good.
Oh. So Mikey, on to you. What's your goals now?
My goals are pretty much the polar opposite of Krista's. I have no competitive aspirations for this game. I just want to have fun with this game because I play this game every single day for multiple hours a day. It's my job. It's what I do. And if I'm not having fun, I kind of feel like, why am I even doing this? So if I can get into a spot where I'm consistently having fun playing Magic all the time, I'm happy. That's all I need to be content. And I think that's like my mindset going into a lot of tournaments right now as well, is I'm just there to have fun. I could not care less about winning, losing. I'm not going to try hard. Like, of course, I'm going to try to win. I'm going to play as best as I can because, I get personal satisfaction out of improving at the game and whatnot. But I couldn't care less about the result at the end of the day. I'm just there to have fun.
Do you ever get stuck where, like, I don't know, there's like you ever get a format which is really stale, or you're thinking, I really don't want to play, or I really can't be bothered today? Do you ever get to that sort of?
Oh yeah, no, I'm kind of there right now with Modern a little bit because I'm so sick of just like playing the One Ring mirrors all day that I've been playing some Standard. I've actually just moved over to Standard for the time being until the ban list happens in a few weeks because I'm having a great time playing Standard. Standard's one of the most wide open I've seen it in years, honestly.
Your most recent video was Standard, wasn't it? It was an elf video, I think, in Standard.
We're actually pushing towards Standard in the team now. Sorry.
Oh no, good.
We're actually pushing now in the team, so the team we're in, we're actually pushing now towards Standard because next year Pioneers, Null and Void. It's essentially Standard and Modern for next year. So, I mean, I've always so my happy place within Magic is when I've had to, like, if I'm focused on 2 formats. Any more than 2 formats, I'm like, oh my god, this is way too much. So before I came to America, I thought that Apex was Pioneer. So I was preparing for Legacy because I really want to play. I will play Legacy. If Legacy's on there, I will play it. Like, Legacy is my go-to format. Modern, and I thought Pioneer as well. So I was like, oh, Jen, like, I need to stress these 3 formats. And as soon as I found out there's no Pioneer, I was like, oh my god, I feel free. It's like you give Dobby a sock. I'm like, yeah, I'm free.
Yeah. Pioneer's a prison anyways.
It's tough because everybody's saying Standard's so good right now, and I believe them, but I can only... Or not Pioneer, Standard. and I can just only stretch myself so thin. Like they're really
Yeah.
pushing hard on standard for competitive this year, and like it's already going to be a really tight year with like my non-magic stuff going on. So to like dip into standard when my priorities are legacy and like modern for the most part. I'm dipping back into vintage for Eternal Weekend too.
Oh, nice.
But like, yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. It's so hard to kind of play every single format. It's almost like a different game for each.
Yeah, I get that feeling. I love playing every format myself. I really enjoy it. I play mostly the RCQ formats, right? The ones that you can actually qualify to the Pro Tour with. Recently, I went to the RC in Lille. Did all right. Lost my win in on camera, which was awful for day 2. Playing ninjas, had a great time. 5-3, not a bad record, but yeah, it's hard to put time into every format. I felt underprepared going into it because I'd been playing so much modern, and modern's coming up next for Prague that I've also qualified to. So it's just a lot of time. Standard is very fun. I do play it, but it is not easy to juggle all these things, especially when you have a job that you have to actually be part of. Unfortunately, it's a requirement for life if you want to have any money to do anything, to buy more Magic Squares. And it's a bad balance to try and get a hold of.
It's the two
set job. Just make your job magic, and then you can balance it really easily.
I would much rather do that. It's better than working for the bank, let me tell you. Oh God.
The two sets a month is going to be one set every 2 months is going to be an issue as well. Like especially if there's a chase card in each set. Like
I think they said there's going to be like a total of 21 sets in rotation for standard at any given time, and I'm like, wow, that's absurd.
Yeah.
Like,
and the foundation is for 5 years, so this is something else. This is going to be a completely wild time for standard. Really want to see if they can keep it up without letting it get bombarded with weird synergies that break the game.
So on Sorry, go on, Krista.
No,
go on, Krista.
Say we're dipping into Universes Beyond and Standard coming up too.
Yeah.
So get ready for all the standard sets plus the Universes Beyond introductions.
Oh yeah. Unfortunately, we won't see SpongeBob in standard. It's the one thing that we're missing out on, the Krabby Patty secret formula. I think that was going to be a staple breakout, but we'll have to see it in Legacy instead.
So we've already had talking to you about your sort of competitive goals. The next question it's probably going to be quite self-evident in terms of what is when you go to like when you're approaching sort of competitive Magic or when you're approaching a tournament, what considerations do you put into making to your deck choice? So what I'm thinking about playing this deck for this reasons. What is your process of deck selection for a tournament?
For me in particular, recently, even though like Nadu is very obviously the best deck, and like this kind of relates back to like what Mikey was saying, like it's to have fun. And usually I'm more on like the competitive, like grindy side, but recently I've kind of adopted whatever is the most competitive that I'm also gonna like enjoy and be able to play for like 9 straight rounds or whatever is kind of where I lean. For example, like for the Apex Invitational, like I took Hollow One, like kind of out of left field, but it was putting up decent results. I was doing pretty well with it. It did really well versus the Boros decks, which is exactly what I was trying to target. So if it targets the top decks in the meta, I'm also cool with that. I kind of like to go off the beaten path a little bit when it comes to my deck selection while still being competitive. I do like
I don't know if you know, but Hollow One style decks are my baby. That is like my thing.
Show them the thing, Luis.
So
show them the thing.
I'm gonna pull up this tragic pile that I had once upon a time. The
thing above your fire.
Oh, that too, yeah. Can they see it? Flameblade Adept just chilling over there.
Oh, I see it. That's so sick. I was a big Hollow One player back before Faithless Looting got banned in Modern. I was playing Phoenix and Hollow One at the time.
Rest
I
in
really
pepperonis.
ate that Faithless Looting ban. It was tough.
It was the roughest thing. Faithless Looting did nothing wrong. It's a fair and balanced Magic card. I don't know who thought it was a good thing to ban. No, it's I used to. So when I first started Magic and did my very first modern tournament, it was GP Liverpool in 2018. I played, and I'm gonna forever to this day die on this hill. I invented this deck. No one else did. It's my deck, which is Hollow Phoenix Mono Red. This is not the Swift Spear, crappy version. No, this is the 4 Hollow 1, 4 Phoenix, 4 Flameblade Adept, 4 Bedlam Reveler, playing Fiery Temper, crappy cards, but it works because it works literally only mountains in the mana base and Ramunap Ruins. There was no fetch lands, period. That's what I played, and I got 10th place at GP Liverpool with that deck. I will die on this hill. 3 months of modern experience. It was the greatest time of my life, and I miss it so much. I'm glad it's finally Burning Inquiry, able to see some play again. It's the best Magic card that's ever existed, and it makes me so happy. Tilts my opponents to no end.
You would have liked it with Bowmasters.
Oh yeah. What was that, Dingo? Sorry.
Decks where you like.
I was just saying, I remember that mono red deck when it kind of broke out.
Oh yeah, the best thing in the world.
If you ever get the chance, like the decks that you're able to like really put an imprint on and put out there, and like you are actually good, those are like the best feeling. I took it was like a red-white ephemerate deck. I took it and I like went 26-0 with it. I like won a big like 2K with it. I went undefeated. People around me started like building the deck, and like people online like were reaching out to me about it. I'm like, this is the best feeling, and now you can't play it anymore because Fury's banned.
Yep. Sorry about that.
It's all your fault.
The Scaminator himself.
Yeah.
So how about you, Dingo? Are you sort of, because you said before you're like, if you're not having fun, I guess that's sort of your baseline sort of thing for deck selection?
I usually pick decks based on the vibes, and oftentimes,
of course,
I'll pick a deck that I think has potential, and then spend some time like refining 1 or 2 card choices, like just getting the small things down, and then I think like sometimes I kind of bring decks to light that are a little bit hidden, because Scam was like a very rogue deck before. I started jamming it constantly, and a bunch of other people started picking it up. Like, it didn't even have contention of being talked about at first for any sort of bans or anything. People were like, this that kind of sucks. Like, you have to get lucky to win with it. And then like now we see the results of Scam were like 25% by the end of the meta. But maybe I just have like an affinity for picking the broken decks, because now like I picked Energy, and Energy's now 25% of the meta, and I'm just like, why? How do I keep doing this? I end up picking like the good decks by accident oftentimes. I'll tell you right now, I'm not playing a good deck in Legacy because I'm playing Ad Nauseam Tendrils at Eternal Weekend, which I know for a fact is a good deck.
No one will expect it. I reckon you'll snipe some wins with that. I genuinely think so.
I just love that deck because I remember back in 2016 watching Caleb Scherer play at the SCG Tour with his completely pimped out foil Ad Nauseam Tendrils deck. I was like, one day I want to play this deck in paper, and it's just been like a secret little hidden side quest of mine to eventually be able to play that deck in paper. And now we're here, 8 years later.
Caleb has some cool pimped out decks. I played against him. It was like SCG Regionals Jersey, like right before COVID broke out. He had sun bleached all of his storm cards. It was insane looking. I'm like, what
I've seen that. They like taped them onto the window for like 6 months or something.
That's so cool.
It was like gray. I'm like, this is kind of sick. I'm getting stunted on.
It was a sketch card before a sketch card was a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
We did actually forget to mention that you actually won the Secret Lair Showdown in Vegas, didn't you, Mikey? And you end up coming away with a cool, well, it was a $50,000 essentially tournament, because that's how much the prizes were worth.
Yeah, I also just want to touch on kind of the mindset behind playing some of those like really high stakes stressful matches, because I think a lot of people, they get really nervous, and I always just think like if I start to get nervous at all, I'm just like, I just look at my opponent, I'm like, they're probably as nervous, if not more nervous than I am right now. Why am I nervous? And then I kind of just like use that to calm myself down, and then I'll start talking like, I'm not allowed to swear on here. I'll just start talking crap to them, just to lighten the mood oftentimes, because it makes me feel better at the same time. Like, for example, it wasn't the Secret Layer Showdown, but it was the top 8 of the winning in for the top 8 of the Modern Cup on Saturday. I was literally like giving my opponent like some Yu-Gi-Oh lines. I was like, "Your move, Yu-Gi boy." And then they're like, "For my next move, I'll besage you your Blood Moon." I was like, "Stop! You activated my trap card.
That's
Untimely malfunction.
That's the
I'll
best
redirect
way
you
to
besage
play
you
Magic. I love
back
it.
to my land." Like, I'm just having a good time. Life is too short to not enjoy the things you do, even if it's at a high stakes. Like my winning in for the finals of the Secret Layer Showdown, where I had to play a $20,000 money match against Mono White Martyr.
God, that was a nightmare.
It was an hour and a half match, and the entire time I'm laughing with my opponent. We're playing a $40,000 match of Magic, pretty much a money match. And I'm just sitting there laughing with my opponent. I'm like, "Oh my god, they play One Ring! Oh no!" Like, it's just you should just have fun. Magic is a game made for fun.
It's a
You
game.
should never take yourself too seriously. And I just try to prioritize having fun more than anything else, because I think I play better when I have fun, because I'm more engaged in it.
You heard it here first, ladies and gents. This is the $50,000 mindset to win a Magic tournament.
Just chill out and have fun. Can you sort of resonate with that as well, Krista? Is that sort of like, say, if you were in that position, or if you've obviously been in a lot of high stake tournaments yourself, winning all those.
Yeah, not quite
all
the
those
50,000. I was one match away from getting in the 50,000 tournament. But I have played quite a bit of Magic in my time, and you know, some high stakes events.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the whole. I think I like touched on this for a minute, but like that's why I wouldn't play Nadu. I was just like, I can't sit through like 9 rounds of a tournament or something and play this deck. Like, my brain just like couldn't handle being that bored.
100%.
So I have to
I'm with
play
you there.
something like fun and engaging while also being competitive, And I don't know if I can fully have like a back and forth conversation with my opponent. I feel like I let things go too easy that way. They're like, I'll start making small mistakes, or they'll start making small mistakes because we're like busy talking to each other.
Yeah.
He's a little bit better at that, but I think it's also because when he streams, he's talking to chat all the time and like really engaging. So he's just really good at like doing 2 things at once.
Oh, that's the secret. He just imagines his opponent is chat, and that's how he wins.
I'm just talking to chat. I'm just commentating my own match, because that's what I do anyways, and that's how I'm in my natural environment when I just like get to talk crap to my opponent and just have a good time.
And when they're about to win, you just ban them, right? Easy.
Yeah, no, like, and when they win out, I'm just like, "Dang, you got me. Good games." Like, there's no reason to be salty over a match of Magic ever, because like, if you just run the numbers, for example, in the top or the Secret Layer Showdown playoffs, there were 32 people, because it's 5 rounds up until and single elimination. Like, you have a 1 in 32 shot, realistically speaking, to win that event, and that's what point? It was like 8%. If somebody runs the numbers, I don't know. It's like 4% maybe. It's such a statistically low number that you shouldn't even stress yourself out about getting there, and you should just take it one match at a time. Just have fun.
Yeah.
Assuming everybody's the same skill level, you have a 1 in 32 shot. It's so unbelievably unlikely to win the event that it's nothing worth giving yourself a hard time over, or being salty over, or being sad over. It's like, just move on. There's more events. There's more opportunities to give yourself a chance at getting to the end and getting to where you want to be, that there's no reason to put any sort of pressure on yourself, really.
I feel like within the Magic community, there's a lot, if you look at like Twitter, Discord, etc., there's a lot of emphasis or a lot of pressure people put on themselves when it comes to Magic. Like if my prowess at Magic defines me as a person almost, and I feel like it's quite an unhealthy way to approach the game. And the way you guys are approaching it is super, super on board. And I genuinely think that's probably how Richard Garfield intended Magic to be. You chill out, you're having a fun game, and if you do well with it, c'est la vie. It's a secondary part of a hobby essentially. If you think about it, if this was fishing, and you're not going to go out to out fishing and be like, I really hope that I land the $50,000 fish, because then it justifies me spending on my trip and the I'm a travel, etc. You don't think like that for any of the hobbies? It seems to be magic. Magic that tends to be like an EV on everything, and I like ignoring that and just being like, I'm here to play a game.
People
Yeah.
often like associate a value to their experiences. They're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, did I, get value out of this week?" And it's like you got value by being able to be privileged enough to sit down and play a match of Magic instead of
Yeah.
doing anything else. And you should just revel in the fact that you got to do that in the first place.
100%.
I don't know if you guys have ever met the Meat Man. His name's Zane. He's a kind of a local in California. He's also a streamer. He is at any point, at any time, he is the happiest Magic player in the room. And after talking to him for extended amounts of time, I idolize him. I'm like, damn, I wish I was the happiest player in the room at all times playing Magic because it's just awesome to talk to him. It's invigorating, it's energizing, it's fun to talk to him.
Yeah.
And I just like I look up to him like this is what I want to be. This is my end goal for Magic is just be the happiest player in the room at any given time.
He's
That's
so
pretty true.
jovial. Like, I met him for the first time in Vegas. I didn't get to talk to him for too long, but you could just tell he's just having a blast, whatever
Yeah.
he's doing.
I want to be the Meat Man. That sounds cool.
Yeah, and he told me once he was just like I was like, "Me, how are you so happy all the time?" And he was just like, "Anytime I get to play Magic, it's a good time." And I was just like, "Damn, this is a mindset I'm gonna adapt because it's a
That's
great
solid.
I think you really cannot lean on like I have to cash this event. I have to do this. I have to do this. Like that's putting way too much pressure on yourself. You're gonna
way
end
too
up
much.
like being miserable. You're not gonna enjoy it. Think of it
Yeah.
more as like you're okay spending your time this way because it's a hobby and you enjoy it. Your money this way. Obviously don't like over invest and be like, well, I have to win Eternal Weekend because I bought a Black Lotus. So like
Yeah.
that's a terrible investment. Do not do that.
Yeah.
People also forget just how much like variance has to play into
Oh.
Magic sometimes. People are like, no, it's just because you're bad or you're gonna get it because you're good. Like, no, variance still is like a thing. You can mitigate those chances with practicing more. Like if you do if you practice and prep for an event, and you don't do well, there's really not much more you could do, if you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, you
Sometimes
could be
variance does just get you.
you could be Reed Duke, Simon Nielsen, or even you two guys, and you mulligan to 4 and then draw land. There's
I
nothing
always
you can
just
do
keep in
about
mind that the best players with the best decks have a 60% win rate tops.
Yep.
Like
that.
Magic is very much a back and forth coin flippy style game where either player could win at any time. And it's like speaking of the lands thing that you're talking about, I was playing against Brian Koval in the Apex Invitational, and I drew 6 cards off my ring, 1, 2, 3, and they were all lands. And I just showed him, I was like, "Can you beat this?" I showed him 6 lands, and he points to his lethal creatures, like, "Yeah, I can beat that." It's just like even taking a bad situation, an unfun situation like that, where you're like, "Ah, I flooded," instead of being salty about it, just crack a joke out of it. Like, that could have very easily happened to Brian, where he
Exactly.
drew 6
Yeah, I love that.
lands, and I just stole the win from underneath him. And that doesn't feel great to steal a win like that. But hey, that's Magic, Like,
It
you always
happens.
try to get
Exactly. That's what I like to hear. It's that
so-
happy vibe.
yeah,
So
that's what you signed up to play.
So I'm quite conscious that Dingo's got his day job to get to or night job to get to. I'm quite conscious of that. So before we sort of wrap up this sort of episode, can we go talk about, because we've got a big date coming up in December, which is the BNR, and it's quite anticipated. Legacy players will be reveling, saying, we should have had a ban 2 bans ago. So then we had the data for Eternal Weekend, etc. Around Psychic Frog and all that good stuff. Modern players are expecting the One Ring. So what is yours two predictions? You can talk about any format you'd like. For the BNR, any cards you would think are going to might get unbanned, or you'd like to get unbanned, and any cards you personally, if you in your heart of hearts, if you had the choice to be like, nah, I hate that card, ban it.
Yeah. So your expectation, your wants, and you know it's not going to happen, but you want it to happen so badly. Go for it.
I think we're probably both in agreement that the One Ring just needs to go. in Modern and probably in more formats, honestly. I just think the card is like just a terrible design. I think it's so poorly designed, and I think it's just such an unfun play pattern. Like they could have done so much more with it, and just like shipping it as is and making us play with it for this long is kind of heinous.
Yeah.
They should definitely just add a
There's a real opportunity to make it real sweet, or like, you know, not an auto include and everything. But yeah, I think it'll go.
I think you should be allowed to light your opponent's ring on fire, and if you do that, you win the game. Personally.
See, personally, I'm not on team ban the One Ring. I'm on team restrict the One Ring for flavor reasons, and also it balances the card so much more if you just restrict it.
Yeah.
You just put it to 1. You can't legend rule it. That it's a huge issue. That one of the best ways of getting rid of your own ring counters is legend ruling it right now, and then you don't have to deal with like chain multiple turns of protection in a row. I think they should just restrict it, even though I know restricting cards in Modern is against their like not policy, but like, you know, their standards of what they expect out of a ban list. But I'd be fine if they restricted it. I think it'd be very flavorful and a nod to J.R.R. Tolkien himself. But I'm not Wizards of the Coast.
Can't wait. It'll be 1 ring and 3 Phyrexian Metamorph in every deck.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think they're gonna find a way around it. I'm just saying, I just want them to nuke the thing, get it out of here.
Honestly, if they're gonna play bad cards, I keep wanting to cuss. If they play bad cards like Phyrexian Metamorph to facilitate the 1 copy of the One Ring that's probably in their card board, whatever. That's fine.
Yeah.
If you have to lower your card quality by that much, I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah.
But as for Legacy, I think the format's a complete disaster at the moment. There's so many things that I dislike between the Eldrazi decks and the Frog decks and the Nadu decks. I think that there's too many things on my wish list for Legacy that I don't really want to get into it because I think the entire format's a Commander clown fiesta.
Have you heard of the format that they tried to push called Heritage? There's a Discord on everything. So Heritage is basically Legacy with no supplementary products.
Yeah.
So Modern Horizons, Commander products, all that stuff, none of that. So no Endurances, no Force of Vigors, no One Rings, none of all that stuff. Like just
True Nemesis is so sad.
Yeah, True Nemesis wouldn't be in there. So basically it's just Legacy from essentially standard sets. And I wonder if actually
is there any like real big mainstay card aside from True Name Nemesis that is a Commander product only? That like
yeah.
I mean,
that's like a super like big one that we can think of.
Yeah, the Black Miracle card that the Frog decks are playing now.
Oh, get it from
the Fanatic. Fanatic, yeah.
Yeah, Fanatic. That card's busted.
What about like an old one that's been around for ages? That is just like everyone's
Judgment.
Council's Judgment. Okay,
aren't playing that anymore.
Nah, Flusterstorm.
Flusterstorm. No. Flusterstorm they printed.
I mean, it was a Commander,
right?
It was
Commander, and then they printed it into MH cards, but it was never in a standard set. It was never a standard set.
Right.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be.
Oh wow, no Flusterstorm would be weird.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
Storm would be good.
Flusterstorm was an old one, but cards like Fourth Aerlingus, there's just so many Commander.
There's a lot now, like a lot of recent ones for sure. I'm just trying to think of like, is there anything to like the level of Ponder or Brainstorm or anything like that is that big of a card?
I don't think so.
Nah, it's usually the stuff that it's sort of like people say if you listen to Eternal Durdles, love that podcast, but they're quite an advocate on the fact that like you print these cards, these powerful cards into a format, and they're all getting backed up. So if it's a low to the ground threat like Frog, it's backed up by Wasteland Days. If it's like some weird, wonderful, broken stuff, the format is just so vast that you can just abuse it. When Nadu came in, it just made Breakfast Overdrive, for example.
Nadu is like my #1 card that I never want to see again in my life.
Yeah.
Like people are saying it's fine for Legacy, whatever. I still think the cards like play patterns are absolutely terrible. I would be so happy never seeing it.
Okay.
But that was meant for Commander. I mean, even Commander players say that straight to Commander products ruined Commander for them. Like, the whole point of Commander was the fact that you had you drafted standard sets. You had the 7 mana awful rare that you would never get played.
But like a worm.
Actually, we can now play it because we need 100 card singletons in our and our
Okay.
casual
Commander's a
board game.
disaster. It's kind of sad that they're pushing all this Commander product, and not even the Commander players are happy anymore.
Yeah.
Because we need the Commander players. The Commander players are the backbone of the competitive Magic scene, whether you want
Yeah,
to accept that
I
or
agree.
not.
Yeah, we
because
can't
they
exist without them.
Financially, yeah, we can't exist without them. They're the financial backbone of Hasbro in general when it comes to the WotC division. So
To be fair, we wouldn't have to lean on them so much if not so many of them converted to Commander players, though, which is
Well,
like the issue.
People are gonna play Magic in whatever way they have the most fun, and if that's Commander, I got no problems with that. Am I gonna be a Commander player? No. Am I gonna be a Pauper player? No. I'm just gonna play the
Pauper's kind of
formats
sick though.
that I
Pauper's-
like, and
Pauper's
I
good.
want
Pauper's good.
everybody to play the format that they enjoy the most. And if that's Commander, that's fine. We need people to keep playing the game.
Absolutely.
And that's what's most important.
So there was a game, I forget the name of the game. There was a game back in the 90s that was a hyper competitive, super competitive. Apparently, it was amazing. It was a bit like Warhammer. So you had these models, and it's uber competitive. But there was no space in its design for a casual sort of a casual player base, which meant that the support wasn't there because there's going to be more casual players than are competitive. It's just the nature of anything. Like there's way more people who just want to have a good time and aren't really bothered about the stresses or whatever of competitive play. And if you don't have that casual backup, again, like exactly as you said, the game would just founder. I mean, look at like if Magic was only competitive during COVID, the whole company would have gone. Commander literally kept the company alive during COVID.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think the way they've approached the format is ruining the game for me personally. But Commander players are required. Yeah, they are required.
Yeah.
You need them.
The casual player base in whatever form that they want to take are required by far and wide.
And I think more people should just take the casual mindset into competitive Magic as well and just have more fun with it. Because I think it would not only breed more competitive players, I think just the morale behind and the mindset behind these competitive players would just improve a lot. And people want to go to more tournaments instead of being like, oh my God, I got to spend all this money to go to a tournament. If I don't place well, then I'm down all this money. And it's like, Magic's a luxury hobby. Enjoy it.
Very much
Enjoy it because you're privileged to be able to play it in the first place.
100%.
Anyone that's listening and thinks that spending $10, $20, $30, $40 on a piece of cardboard means it's not a luxury hobby, gotta check yourself there a little bit.
The thing is though, like you're not entitled to play the game. You're not entitled to have access to this. You know what I mean? It is a luxury. You know, it's not for everybody. You know, I wish everyone could afford it, but obviously we can't. We can. But I would say that if you think of all the interactions you've had in a tournament, you could have 10 good good interactions. You know, I had so many good interactions on Magic on Vegas, and Apex was absolutely amazing. Didn't have any negative in Apex, but there was the first thing I think of was that one guy in a winner sheet tournament that I played that was salty because he kept losing to Boros Energy, then pivoted to Boros Energy, and then lost to me. And I was playing Frog, which was the deck he pivoted from, and he stormed off. He threw his cards on the table, and I'm like, that will stick in my mind, not intentionally. Over the first thing I think of when I think of all the hundreds and hundreds of positive interactions we had, you know. But
I mean, I can definitely relate to that. I don't love like confrontations. So when I get an opponent who's just like really salty in a tournament, like that can like ruin my tournament run because I'll just be like so preoccupied on that. And I think we need to, I don't know if punish salty players is the exact thing I want to say, but we just need to be more mindful as a community and really not let salty players, be allowed to salt without consequence.
Just be more dingo.
Be more meat.
The way I see it,
be more meat.
Be more meat.
If you're willing to, for example, the One Ring is a $60 card right now. If you're willing to buy 4 copies of the One Ring, you're spending $240. That's the price of 4 AAA video games. And if playing with the One Ring makes you upset, you're better off buying 4 AAA video games and spending hundreds of hours enjoying yourself in an RPG universe instead of playing Magic. The reason you spend more money playing Magic is because you enjoy it a lot. And I think people forget about that.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of other things you could use to preoccupy yourself that's not going to frustrate you nearly as much. But I think it gets lost sometimes, and people get caught up in the moment of being frustrated at a particular point, and then they get upset and salty. It's just like, think of all the other things you could be doing instead of being upset. Maybe competitive's not for you. Competitive's definitely not for everybody.
No,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that get caught up to thinking that like, oh, this person is obviously not as good as me, therefore I'm going to win. And when they don't win, they
Oh.
get really salty.
Recently
and I
had a
think it's-
huge convo on that. That's very true.
I think it's best not to count your chickens before they hatch, I guess.
Yeah.
And not, you can learn something from every player you play against.
100%.
And you really have to kind of keep that in mind and not judge people you play against.
100%.
Yeah,
keep on-
it's very interesting.
Yeah,
I
no
mentioned-
one deserves to win a game of Magic. Not a single person deserves for just because they exist and showed up, or no matter what accolades they have. You don't deserve to win just because whatever reason. It doesn't work that way. Every single game you play, you have to earn your win. And if you want to really get it, that's the mindset you have to have. You go, enjoy yourself, have fun, and earn your win. If you go into it thinking, oh, I am I won a Pro Tour, I deserve to beat anyone at an FNM because I am the best. Sorry, it's never going to pan out for you. All you're going to do is come up as a jerk. You're going to lose, and it's going to be funny to everybody else.
It's quite relevant to the RC winner and his background. But anyway, we'll leave that for another time because that was controversial. But I'll always say, I've spun this story, a quick story. I spun the story on previous pods where my girlfriend, she was heavily pregnant during GP Birmingham. She played a lot of Pauper Elf for a jam. She was heavily pregnant, out here. She had her own special seat near the toilets and everything. And she lads were coming up to her thinking, oh, this is a buy. She ended up walking away. Waddling away with like 3 booster boxes full of prizes, and salty lads who refused to ID with her in the last round, etc. But yeah, but I'm sort of happy where this pod's gone.
I need one final thing. I need to know, what is your bat crap crazy card that you want unban or ban, or what you think that final thing from you guys. We got your expectations, what you want ban, all that, but what is your bat crazy card?
Deathrite Shaman. Bring it back in Modern. If you think it's too strong for Modern, look at Guide of Souls. That card is not better than Guide of Souls. People are packing a bunch of 1-mana removal. Stop being cowards. Bring back Deathrite Shaman. You can kill it. Give green-black some support because that archetype sucks right now.
I actually have to agree with that. I think it's totally fine.
I love that
flame
stuff
for my
too.
opinion, for sure.
That'd be so cool.
I'm never an unbanner. I'm always a banner. I want to be way harsher on bans. I would like a days ban, which is just never gonna happen, and that's a pipe dream. But it's fine.
I'd be okay with days ban.
Right. Circling back to the topic of like, don't go into a tournament expecting a free win. I actually went to an RCQ with Meatman Zane, and I think it was round 2. I was playing Amalia in Pioneer, and I queued into like a 13-year-old girl playing blue-black control, and she absolutely wiped the floor with me. It was not close. She was doing my Amalia math faster than I was, and I was just like, this child's a prodigy. And after the game was over, I just looked at her, and her dad walked over, and I was like, I hope to see you on the Pro Tour one day. People got to be happier for
I love that.
all of the success that your opponents are having as well. People they don't have the empathy to be like, oh, I'm really happy that you just crushed me, because I think it's awesome that you're doing this at such a young age, and you're so skillful and you're so good, and I want to see you succeed. And I think that gets lost a lot as well. And it's something that more people need to be cognizant of, because that kind of motivation can drive somebody on the fence about continuing to play Magic into becoming so deeply involved in the Magic that they keep the game alive.
I mean, I've always said it should be called Gathering the Magic, because to me, the gathering always comes first before Magic. Like, Magic is the sort of element that the electricity throws through for me. Like, it always comes from I'll think about the trip I've just been on, and the first thing I think of is the people. You know what I mean? Like, what the experience I had with people. I had some good games of Magic. I did all right. You know what I mean? But when it comes to what did you do in America? Oh, I met this person. I met this person. I met you might have heard of Krista Dingo. I met them. You know, the lads we were on streaming to before, Rex and them. They were like, "Oh, you got Dingo on tonight." They were excited. And I was like, "Yeah, just Dingo." You know,
The gathering is just like such a big part. That's what's kept me around for 10 plus
Yeah.
years. Like I've got 2 different job opportunities because of networking I've done through Magic. I moved across
Brilliant.
the country and did something super spontaneous because of Magic. I've seen a ton
Yeah.
of the country because of Magic and the people I wanted to go and travel with and see. Like it's just so big and important, and I think it gets underplayed a lot.
Absolutely. There's no Magic without the gathering, and that's the big thing.
It's the experience outside of the game that's more important than the games itself.
100%. We'll have to chat about your UK trip.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Me and Will will square
Soon
you away.
Will say he's gonna
We'll
put
be
me in the
there.
dungeon, whatever that means.
Good
You'll
luck.
be in the, if you come stay, you'll be in the loft, which is where it is.
That sounds a lot better than the dungeon. Yeah.
My loft has got a great view. You can see the sea and the harbour. It's brilliant.
Oh.
And you get an angelic view as well.
Yeah, I am happy where this has gone. Like I feel like this has surpassed my expectations. I feel like I've learned something. I feel a sort of a weight has come off me in the fact that I'm just gonna be more like me in my in my Magic.
Be
from
more
going
like me.
forward.
That man starts breaking down into dances mid-match, and that's something I aspire. He just starts going,
yeah.
whenever he top decks, I'm like, "Oh, let's fucking go!" Oh, sorry, I can't curse. I waited till the end.
It's the end of the video. It's all right. It's all right.
I waited till the end.
Is there anything you want to add to this? Anything you want to say? We'll move on to sort of plug in your socials in a minute. But is there anything you want to add to sort of finish the pod?
Yeah, I want to thank you for having us on because you took out a lot of time on your day to have us on, and as
several times.
yeah,
'cause you're
dealt with us postponing it. So thank you guys for having us and hosting
It's our
us.
pleasure.
It's a good experience to be able to host and have these kind of conversations because I think, like you said, I'm seeing a lot of people on Twitter just like very frustrated with the results being way too results oriented. So it's important to have these kind of conversations, especially with like players like Dingo who are very successful.
Yeah.
And not being so results oriented, you know.
Yeah. That's actually really really cool way. But you really focused on the sort of fun aspect of it, but then the fruits of that is what you've achieved and what both you've achieved. Really, you're both really high achievers. So yeah, I would like to thank you for coming on. Yeah,
have fun, and the results will come. That's all I got to say.
Yeah,
I think that's the main takeaway. Is first and foremost, prioritize enjoying what you do. You're only on this earth for a limited time, so you just squeeze out every second of enjoyment you possibly can before your inevitable fate of death.
Exactly, and you quit your bank job and only do Magic, and that's you heard it here first.
I mean, this for us is a completely passion project. We do this because we just like to do it. The Chad Magic lads who are our sort of like sister, so like the Chad Magic are like above us, and we're sort of like an offshoot. We're like what's that fetus on that South Park character? What's on the side of the face? I forget what it's called.
I know who you mean.
We're like that. The fetus on the side of Chad Magic's face, but we're just there for like a good time, having a good ride, and we're not bothered about clicks and all that. We would like to have a few clicks, but passion project first and foremost.
Absolutely. And we'll have to have you guys again for sure one day in the future. Chris, I think I would like to have you with Sahar. I think that you guys would get along great talking about Legacy. It'd be amazing.
Sounds great.
Sahar is Sahar.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. If you want to know more about her, you can see one of our Legacy episodes. It's very full on.
I think I'm going to be meeting her for the first time at Eternal Weekend.
Yeah, she's there this year. Yeah,
100%.
I've never met her in person, so
she's lovely.
She's great.
Well? You will hear her before you see her.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Do you want to shout out your socials for follows, etc.?
Yeah, so I stream not every day, but most days on twitch.tv/YungDingo and Twitter. I post some results stuff, winning, losing, talking about just general Magic stuff over at twitter.com or x.com/YungDingoMTG. And then I have youtube.com/@YungDingo where I post all my VODs of Magic content as well. Mostly modern, some standard.
I'm less of an online personality, more of like a paper grinder, but you can find me over on retro_gamer_27 over on Twitter. I post a lot of like primers and deck lists over there for my different tournament decks, and I write a little bit about Magic. So you can find me over there.
Sweet.
Fantastic.
Well, everybody, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell us some positive sort of mindset approaches that you've had in games. So tell us some good interactions you've had with the people. Comment. We want to hear it. We'll interact back, etc.
And we want to hear what you want to be banned or unbanned as well. Give us your full layout. I don't care how crazy it is, how Timmy it is. Give us everything, and tell us why you should also be more like meat.
Yeah,
everybody should be more like meat.
More like meat.
Hashtag more like meat.
Hashtag more like
meat. Thank you, everybody. Take care and have a lovely day, guys.
Bye.
Bye.